For today, we're back on Alan Wake 2, and this time we're playing with the Steam Deck at 800p at the lowest settings. Okay, let's go into the options and graphics. Again, here we are at 800p and at the lowest preset. Laggy again. Let's go up here. There we go, and go down. It's so buggy. Alright, here we go. That's good enough, I think. So this game is a bit of a mess to get going on the Steam Deck. I tried using the Heroic Launcher to get the game going, but it would just crash. And I did all the tweaks, wouldn't work. So I went back and actually installed the Epic Games Launcher. And using that makes the game actually playable. Well, I say playable, but it's sitting at like 14 to 20 FPS right here. It's not great, but we are running at native res. So using FSR will be a huge benefit for us. And we'll see how we go there. Alright, firstly, let's go ahead and go back to Cauldron Lake. See how we do there. And then afterwards, I'm going to go to Watery. And lastly, New York as Alan. Alright, loading into Cauldron Lake. This area is the most GPU intensive out of the 4 locations. So we'll see how we do. It's pretty bad, and I'm feeling some stutters here and there as well. 9 FPS there for a second. Gotta head back to the car and go back to Watery. Might be better. It shouldn't be as intensive, but I don't think it's gonna be playable regardless. I think FSR is a must on the Steam Deck. And even then, it might be just 20 to 30 FPS at most. Which might be playable for some. Not bad, guys. 20 FPS here. It seems to be the least intensive area out of the bunch, so far anyway. But still, very stuttery and very choppy. And the FPS is below 30. Alright, I think we can pause it here and go play as Alan. See how we do in New York. And then back out, use FSR, and try again. I think it's the best section so far. It's not as stuttery or as laggy as before. And FPS-wise, we're sitting like almost at 20 FPS. What's up, buddy? Oh, man. That was kind of laggy there. Won't even lie about that. So yeah, New York, still very choppy, but it's not as bad as Cauldron Lake, for example, or even Bright Falls. It's getting really bad here, actually. 7 to 10 FPS, and it's very laggy. Okay, let's back out and use FSR and try again. Alright, going into the options and then graphics. FSR, let's use the balanced preset. Alright, let's try again. Alright, back into the game with balanced FSR. And now we're sitting in the mid-20s and down into the low 20s. Way better, guys, way better. I can feel some stutters here and there still, unfortunately, but it's not as bad as before. And it's definitely far more playable than before as well. Mid-20s is a good spot, I think. If we can get a bit higher, maybe the high 20s, it'd be fantastic. Back to Cauldron Lake. Alright, so far, in the low 20s, but surprisingly, can't feel any stuttering or any lagging. It's feeling quite decent, actually. So yeah, definitely an improvement. The game isn't stuttering as bad. And FPS wise, it goes from the low 20s up into the high 20s. Our third location, which is Watery, we're sitting in the high 20s and the 30s even. Wow, there we go. First time we're in the 30s. Let's go back to the park though and see how we do there. It might be a long walk, but we'll see. Down here, a bit of stuttering, but we're still fine in the high 20s. Yeah, I think it's this way actually. Hopefully no jump scares and no enemies. I think it should be clear, but you never know. There we go. It's this way. Going to the park now. We're down into the mid-20s and the high 20s. Again, not too bad, but we have room for improvement, obviously. And lastly, playing as Alan. Okay, in the mid-20s still. It's inconsistent. At times, it feels fine, but the others might feel very stuttery. What is he doing, dude? Where is he? Right here? Woo! I can't see a thing. Well, I died. That was fun. Stupid shadows, dude, I swear. Leave me alone. You gotta be kidding me, right? I just spawned in, man. Leave me alone, please. Okay, cool. He just avoids it. I'm gonna run. I don't care. So again, this section, it's pretty inconsistent. The game will stutter and lag. But FPS-wise, we're in the low 20s / the high 20s. How many of you are there? Oh my... Put the knife down. Okay, lastly for 800p, let's use Ultra Performance FSR. We are back into Bright Falls for the third time. Okay, looking at the graphics, it's looking very soft, that's for sure. I think the darkness is hiding the graphics well right now, but if it was daytime, it would look very bad. So again, not a good look, but let's see if the FPS is any better. So far, in the high 20s, and the low 30s. At this point, it's feeling pretty good actually. I would say it's definitely usable. Sadly, in Cauldron Lake, we are still sitting in the mid 20s, but can't feel any stutters, any lag spikes. It's running mostly well considering the FPS. This game reminds me of Borderlands 2 on the PS Vita. It feels like it shouldn't run on the handheld, but it somehow does. It's not great, it looks bad. FPS wise, it falls into the 20s, but it does play the game. Regardless, at Watery, we're sitting in the high 30s, almost the 40s even. That's crazy. Going to the park though, we fall down into the high 20s again, and maybe even the 30s. Let's see. Yep, almost. There we go, the 30s. So yeah, we're kind of getting close to the 30s mark, but not quite there yet. It seems like on average we're sitting in the mid 20s / to high 20s. Finally, as Alan, what are we getting here? Yeah, the game is unfortunately still choppy, but FPS wise we are sitting in the high 20s now pretty much. So yeah, a bit better here again, but unfortunately not playable still. Alright, lastly, let's bring the resolution down to 960 by 540, and for FSR we're going to use the performance mode. Hopefully at this point 30 FPS is doable. I feel like it should be in most areas, but as Alan, it might still be falling into the 20s. It's mostly into the 30s now, but it does still fall down into the high 20s. At Cauldron Lake we're sitting in the high 20s now / the mid 20s. It's getting pretty close, guys. It's getting pretty close. Might be playable at this point, I don't know. Back in Watery, and we're holding a consistent 30 FPS now, which is nice. That is nice. The park though might be a bit of an issue. Let's see. We are sitting in the mid to high 20s in the park. Outside we're sitting in the mid to high 30s. And playing as Alan one last time. Yeah, in this section the game isn't playable, unfortunately. Still very stuttery and very laggy. And FPS wise we're sitting in the mid to low 20s. So yeah, that's Alan Wake 2 on the Steam Deck. I would probably say the game isn't playable for most of you. The FPS falls into the 20s all the time. It's very inconsistent, and installing it in the first place is very annoying. But if you're happy with playing in the mid 20s up into the low 30s, then the game might be playable for you. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time for the next video. See you guys there.